lovely screening of Gold. We have composer Daniel Pemberton and director Stephen Gaghan. I'm sorry, I just please say your name for me.
Gaghan.
Gaghan. I practiced and practiced. I'm so sorry. So, from what I've read, is it on? Test.
Testing.
There you go. From what I've read, I haven't heard a note, but from what I've read, it sounds really great. And I say that based on, we're all composers, songwriters here. We're huge tech geeks and nerds and everything that goes along with that. So the whole idea, of the stock exchange bell. Can we just jump right into that since we're...
Okay, yeah, so I came on the film, had a great chat with Stephen, who is an amazing director to work with. The fact that we're sitting here, we got on great, it was a great team. And he was always pushing me to try and find something, different and unusual to tell the story of this film. And I was watching the film, and suddenly there's this bit in the middle of the film, and you haven't seen the film yet, so I don't want to give too much away. But actually going to film knowing this is kind of interesting. There's a bit where there's a sound, which for me was like the symbol of modern capitalism, like the American dream, success, riches, all these things that Kenny, Matthew McConaughey's character, is like sort of striving for. And it was the New York Stock Exchange bell. And it was such a fascinating sound. I was like, I want to try and take that sound of New York into Indonesia, and take the jungle into New York. And I always had this idea of this playing up the river, like we've sort of changed it since then, but I took the bell, when they do the New York Stock Exchange, ding, 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 ding. So I took that, we put some rhythm underneath it, a bass line, some sort of percussion, and that suddenly was a really great in for the film. Like that just had the pace of like Kenny's relentless energy. And I remember sending that to you, and kind of like going, shit, I hope he likes this, or I'm a bit screwed.
It was super interesting because the first conversation we had, he threw out this really great conceptual idea. It was pretty bold. He said the New York Stock Exchange bell hammers at like 127 beats. He goes, I think I can actually put beats against it. I can break it down, and I'll have this way. So I think with also using, he had some crazy ideas from instrumentation, including instrument had dried lemur toenails.
We had toenails, I forgot about this.
He had the canoon in mind. He knew of a giant gong, a flat sheet of gold that a guy had made. It turned out to sound like shit, and he ended up using it. But in the very first phone call, we're like sort of FaceTiming, and he said, if this works right, I'll be able to bring the jungle into the boardroom, and I'll be able to bring the boardroom into the jungle. And he said, I think, for your film, and I don't want to talk too much about it, and thank you guys so much for coming before they have us hopping around tonight. But I just thought conceptually it was such an awesome challenge. I was just like, all right, throw down, Daniel, let's see if you can pull that off. And he did, in spades.
And you actually, how did you sample, how did you come to the original sample, first of all? And then tell us what you did with it.
That's a trade secret. There's a sound team on this film. They capture stuff. I
think he stole it.
But like Stephen was always good at pushing me to try and make it weirder and crazier and more unusual. And we found that there was so much you could do with the bell. So there's stuff later, which I don't want to talk about too much, but this is a big journey on this film that Kenny goes through, and there's stuff where it gets dark, and a lot of those very dark tones is the same bell, the stock exchange bell, going dong, dong, like slowed down massively. And there's things where there'll be like cross rhythms with it. You'll hear it in a lot of cues. And even at the beginning, the very beginning, when we get the logos, you'll hear a very high ping, 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 ping. It sounds like someone mining a mine. New York Stock Exchange bell. Basically, I only have one idea, New York Stock Exchange bell. That was it. But
And he mined it for all it was worth. I'm a writer, I'll send a writer. I'll be back later after for some. Thank you.
Don't
one
forget to
clap
tip your
in
waitress.
the front row.
So how did you do it? Traditional sampling? Did you use tape at all? Did you do any?
no, this was like we sampled that, and there's lots of other stuff in this score as well. Like there's this great relationship between Kenny and Kay, who's Bryce Dallas Howard's character, and it's a really fascinating film because it's not a film you can describe in one line. And I like films you can't describe in one line because they're unexpected, and it's that was a big challenge, was trying to how do we tell all these different tales and different story beats but still keep it have some kind of continuity.
It is a very you have to make up your own mind, but it's certainly a drama, it's certainly an adventure, and it has, I think, thriller elements, and that, from my perspective, before working on the score with Daniel, watching him do it, really, we had an enormous problem, with coherency in the editing room. That we created ourselves. It wasn't a surprise, wanted the film to be surprising, so it takes some real turns. There are I'll throw down and say, I think there are probably some twists in this movie you won't see coming. That's really cool. Comes with a tonal shift, and how does that all fit into one film? And, I actually despaired that it would. Until his music started coming in, I was able to really, we were able to really get it against the picture, and you'll see suddenly, and it's not just me. Obviously there's producers and studios and everyone looking over my shoulder, and you could just hear this sigh of relief. Suddenly, his writing, it made the film what I'd hoped the film would be, but I was really despaired. I was in a hole. I was like, this is never going to work, and then suddenly. Just holy shit, we're in London on this, he's recording, and I'm watching the picture play on those little monitors, you have in the corner, and I just wanted to cry. I was just so happy.
And as most people here are composers, I've got to say Stephen has been one of the most fantastic directors to have in a recording session, where you constantly go, you got any notes? And he's like, no, it all sounds brilliant. Got any notes? It all sounds brilliant. And he actually was like, I don't want to give you any notes because I love what you're doing, and I don't want to compromise how you're achieving this, because I always try and work a lot of experimentation in the recording process. I will still try and score everything out, but when we get into the recording session, I always try and make sure we can capture something or even make something up on the hoof. When you've got the musicians there, twist something that you can't do during demo process. And if you've got a director, as I'm sure you'll know, who's always like, it doesn't sound like the temp or the demo, it just kills the creativity. And
it would have been such an error, I've had other experience, but something, to me, I'm just one person, and I'm watching in London, and something special seemed to be happening. The musicians all seemed really inspired. They were really excited, and you could feel that energy. And I'm just having, I have this a tattoo here basically. It says, trust your fucking gut, and it's I'm listening, and I'm like, my gut is really happy. I don't have to say anything. So I'm literally sitting in the back like a doorknob, just keeps looking over. I'm like, hey, no, yep, gonna get a cup of coffee, and it's not like I wasn't paying attention. I really was paying attention, but I was just surrendering to something magical that was happening, and I hats off to him and to everyone in here, because when it's working. And I look, the film, love it, hate it, say whatever the fuck you want, it's a great score, and it works beautifully against the picture, so, and I really will fight you over it.
And you guys didn't know each other before this? This is first?
No, we met the night before recording. We did a lot of Skyping. We'd have these crazy days of me working all day London time. Stephen gets in. Then I do Stephen.
I sleep till 3 or 4. That's he's usually finishing up. No.
Stephen time.
I'm in the editing room, editing,
yeah,
and we convene at 4, starting at 4 in the afternoon.
Yeah, your time, which is midnight my time.
3 in the morning his time.
Yeah. And then we get notes and we change. So we did these really long days, and it was a really interesting thing because we chatted a lot and we did a lot of FaceTime. But we only met the day before the recording session. And we went to a party, and it was...
That his sister had for this really cool magazine she puts out, this fashion magazine in London, and I went to this part of town I've never been to. I felt relevant for 20 minutes.
That was really cool, because it was that one moment, the day before you record, where it's you can't do anything now. It's the button's been pressed, nothing can be changed, and that lovely day before where you can actually relax a tiny bit before you're thrown back into the pit. So that's the first time we met, and yeah, it was kind of, you know, I had a lovely, I mean, the only thing that was a shame was we didn't get time to hang out because I was mixing and recording so much.
Oh, fuck that. It's more important. But, you know, it's, I mean, you'll see, like, and I don't know how you all's in here, and I probably know a lot of your work and everything, but it's like, I've worked with some great composers, you know, and I just, I've been very lucky, and it's like, this was just a really special experience, and the thing was like, I just don't want it to sound, you know, I didn't want it to sound like something I'd heard before, you know, but yet, as you know, you have all these traditional moments in films, you know, particularly in a drama, you know, and it was just striking this balance of just at times, just this cacophonous, like, onslaught of sound, which I think the film deserved, and then somehow pivoting into a kind of delicacy without it, you know, the wheels coming off. And I think that's you know, you could speak to it, you know, what that was like for you, you know, in your process. I mean, I think you pulled it off, but it must have been hard.
And there's a bit where you said, like, you just want the audience to know you can enjoy this. And I think when he told me that, I was like, oh, okay, that is like such a great note, because it's just like, all right, we don't have to be really, like, really po-faced and serious about this. We can just have fun. And it's such a great ride, this journey. And that was just, I was like, it's almost like you can do whatever you want, just go and have fun. And that was like, okay, let's have fun. I guess we did.
And if you don't know Daniel at all, he always wears something like this. He didn't just dress up specially for you guys tonight. I wish he did, but this is actually every day.
Yeah, children's TV presenter from the 80s, which is not a good look for certain reasons anymore.
So when you were recording, how many players did you have? And I know that you did a lot of recording on various metals from cans and pots and pans and all that. And was that in that recording session, or did you do that separately? Or
we track this a lot. So this score is a lot of tracking of, like, loads of different instruments. There's some traditional orchestral stuff in there, which would be like, I think we had about 60 strings. We did like a couple of big orchestral sessions. There's a few more traditional orchestral bits. There's bits where I just wanted the scale of the orchestra. You know, I wanted to throw, this whole film's an adventure, and I wanted to throw you into that adventure. But then we had like a session where we'd do gongs and bells and tam-tams. We had a session where we would do like 3 guitarists all at once, solo guitarists, solo flutes, loads of percussion. And that way I could spend a lot more time on every aspect of the score and really, like, experiment and fine tune. Because if you have everyone at the same time, which I also love doing, but it depends on the film, you don't have time to say, hey, let's try that beater, let's stick something on top of the skinhead and try that, because you've got like 20 other people sitting around. And so this way you could focus on every single element of the sound. So there's a lot of unusual sounds, probably too many unusual sounds in certain places that kind of get lost in there. But there's kind of some craziness in here, as well as some more traditional aspects.
We had a wonderful mixer here, a guy named Craig Mann, and did an incredible job. And you had a great guy you work with there.
Yeah, I work with a guy called Sam Akel, who is just very good at keeping up with my relentless one more take. Let's do one more take. Hey guys, that was great. One more take. Kind of approach to just constantly trying to annoy the musicians, which I don't mean to, but I just kind of get excited and I always find something new to, oh look, we can do that again. Let's just let's trim it in that part, and let's also put it here, and then so I like sort of pushing it as far as I can. And you need a mixer who's got that enthusiasm, energy, and also inventiveness. He would do things like we did some stuff where we'd record strings at double speed on tape, octave higher, and then we would play it back an octave lower, but half speed so you get an octave lower in time. And that also saved us because there was one bit where we were running out of time. And we were like, shit, we got like a 3-minute cue to do. And we're like, hey, let's do the double speed thing.
Well, we got to talk about the song, because you wanted to do the song, he didn't want to do the song.
I didn't want to do it. I did not want to do the song.
Well, but.
He didn't really
and,
want to do it.
You know,
He was
and
tired
you have a
and he was
spectacular
busy.
singer, so tell us the story of the song.
Stephen wanted to do a song for this movie. I was like, great, I love that idea, but like, when the hell am I going to have time to do that? Because I'm in the studio mixing and recording and this score. And he kind of kept on, and I was like, okay, we've got a day off because we are just doing mixing stuff. So Stephen came around, he wrote some beautiful lyrics, like beautiful poetry. I mean, you forget this guy is a great writer as well as director. I went through those, we worked with those, found some great key phrases. I threw some chords down, and then...
No, he's hilarious. You know, he's being so nice. It's like, I literally uncorked my like high school sophomore, like, you know, love poetry or something. I don't know what. It was so, I mean, you know. And he's going, you know, but it has to be able to be sung. It's actually a different thing, you know. And I'm like, oh, whatever. You know, and it's just like, I've got one for a female, one for a male vocalist. He's looking at me like, you know, we're sitting in this place in London, and you know, and it was really fun because we tried a bunch of stuff. Like I was like, maybe like a Talking Heads thing, you know, and it's just like Prody and like bam, banging it out, and I'm like, yeah, that's not really right. And it felt more, you know, he started playing these chords on his guitar. I sat down strumming, and it was just, you know, it's like when someone's inspired, it just happened. It was beautiful. Played a few things on the piano, back to guitar, kind of recorded it. I gave him the lyrics, you know, he sort of sang out a scratch track of it, and you know, ad-libbed and actually wrote far better lyrics that actually were working for the song. And then we were very lucky because, like, while I was over there, I said to him, I'm like, you know, I'm friends with this guy. And then I've heard of him as a producer named Danger Mouse. And he's like, you're friends with Danger Mouse? I'm like, yeah, I'm friends with him. He comes to Thanksgiving. We deep fried turkey together. We're both in the South, whatever. And he, so I called him up, and he was like, you know, let me hear it. And so we sent him it with the lyrics, the whole mess, and he says, you know what, I think this is really promising, I'd like to get involved, and I have a little time. And it was a super lucky thing, because he has a relationship with Iggy Pop, and he said to us, you know, he's like, who do you guys think should sing the song? You know, and kind of in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I don't know, Michael Stipe, Ken Gordon, or I don't know, and it's like, cause, and then Brian is, you know, he's a smart, very forceful guy, and he said, because I think it should be Iggy Pop. And we're like, us too. we also, you know, it was just like this dream thing, and
Yeah, that's kind of great. So not only have I had a beautiful experience making this film with Stephen, also in a song with Iggy Pop. Yes!
Well, I could talk to you all night, I assure you, but I know you're on a schedule. We don't have time for questions. I'm really sorry. I know you have a million after you hear them. Give them to me. I'll pass them on to these guys. So thank you, Stephen, Daniel, for being here.
Thank you guys for coming.